Brilliant. So we're here at Rise in Bristol with Yolanda from Phantom Limb, and you're about to be performing in about half an hour's time. Are you excited?
Yeah, pumped. It's good. It's the day.
It's the day.
It's a weird thing. Like this is my kind of wedding day kind of scenario when your album's out and then you're just getting overexcited.
The album The Pines is out today, 13th. It's available to download on iTunes.
Yes, it is. It's available here in Rise. It's available at HMV and other all reputable outlets. Amazon, you know.
Can you tell us a little bit about the sound of the album and some of the tracks on it, maybe?
Well, I suppose the best way of describing it, and genres suck, the best of times, but it's a cross between soul, Southern soul, so think Stax, think Muscle Shoals, and then LA country, so that's more closer to Neil Young, CSN, things like that. Those kind of two worlds mixed together will do the best job of describing that. Maybe in one band, the closest thing we'd say would be the band. I don't know if you acquainted with Leave On Now with Rick Danko. So definitely in that ballpark.
Wicked. I mean, you said genre suck. That's something I wanted to ask you about, is whether you think that genres are kind of too limiting and that there's not enough kind of cross-match between them.
Now, incidentally, you had an interesting Freudian slip of saying, are they colour too limiting as opposed to kind of too limiting? Oh. And you're right, the first time.
Yeah.
They really, they can be a little bit bordering on racist in a weird way.
Yeah.
It can get to a point where they're going, well, you guys are allowed to do this and you guys are allowed to do that, and that's not how we live nowadays anyway. And it's just like some ways of kind of compartmentalizing things that can make essentially the kind of enjoying of music and the playing of music quite a challenging thing to be able to do, because you feel as though you have to fit into a box.
Yeah.
And so that's how I feel about genres to a certain degree. Like, everyone wants to know what you're doing. Like, it's more useful to say we're influenced by these bands than we're in these genres, because it's never really that simple, really.
We actually read an article earlier that was describing a band, and someone who wrote it mentioned that they thought what you were doing was brave. And actually, I personally thought that was a little bit of a patronising, perhaps, way of describing someone, because if someone's just going about their job, that it's just what you're doing. Do you see yourself as brave, or do you think that's kind of ridiculous?
Well, I think ridiculous is the word. It's all context. Like, if you know loads about music, then you would have known from birth, or if you're born in a different country, you might have known from birth that the most successful record that Ray Charles did was a country record. You might know that the album from the Staple Singers, a renowned gospel group, but one of the most famous gospel groups, Soul Folk in Action, is the most heavily tinged country album. Or if you don't know much about music, but you've seen The Last Waltz by Martin Scorsese, you'll notice that there's a seamless mix of people singing what is soul music, what is country music, what is considered rock, but all these things get mixed up, and you have the band and the Staple Singers and Bob Dylan and Van Morrison and Neil Young and Muddy Waters all in the same gig, all doing and they're not supporting each other. This is one show, and it's seamless, and that's really my understanding of music anyway.
Yeah.
And if anyone, it should be being a critic of music, they should at least aspire to know a certain amount. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it can be patronising, but less than patronising, maybe more just a show of a slight bit of ignorance at times.
Yeah, exactly. What were the kind of things you got listening to?
Well, weirdly, Dolly.
Yeah.
That was what, that's kind of like all, like, she's obviously a killer songwriter.
Yeah.
But I know that I would have got myself into a lot more things if they were available. But I had very limited stock. I was listening to my mum's records, and my mum's records weren't the best records in the world, and so I had to do a lot of picking. And so I had like a very small kind of group of things. She had like a record by the Staple Singers, which was it was like a compilation of all things. And so I pick up those tunes and picked up Dolly's tunes and a few other things. I got weirdly obsessed with Freddie as a kid.
Oh yeah?
So that was more the performance and the music. I
Yeah.
wouldn't say that was anything close to what I'm into. you know, like all sorts really. And as I grew up, pretty much everything.
Yeah.
But there was always a weird chord that I struck with singing songs that Dolly sang. I didn't know why, and it came out of my mouth and it sounded like it fitted.
Yeah, so natural.
Yeah, and I'd sing other songs. And like, you know, you're with your friends, whatever, and everyone's got that song that they're singing, that popular song. And you sing it, and you're like, it sounds weird when I sing it. Like everyone else kind of sounds like the record, but I sound a bit like something's gone crazy, you know? And so, yeah, no, it was always one of those things that kind of stuck with me.
We were reading up earlier that you've done a lot of work for other artists as backup vocals, and you've featured on other songs. How do you find the experience of working as a backup artist or a supporting artist to being the frontman of the band?
Well, with regards to backing vocals, I've done 2 gigs doing backing vocals before, and they were more 2 one-offs. So I haven't done much BV work. So I couldn't really comment on it other than I was called in on the last minute. And so...
Did you enjoy it?
It was alright. It's kind of like it was a friend who needed help, and so, you know, you try not to be a dick.
Yeah.
You know?
I guess it's not the dream though, is it?
Oh no, but like it wasn't about that. It was like my friend was putting on a show, some BBs had pulled out at the last minute, he said, can you help me out? You know, just please.
Yeah.
You know, you don't go, sorry buddy, you know, you...
I'm going to be big.
Yeah, no, you just help your mate out, so that's really what it was.
Yeah.
And so they were the 2 times with the BBs. As for featuring, I certainly from kind of age 18 to like 23, I did probably the vast majority of my kind of featured artistry, if you will, and then just stopped.
Yeah.
Because I lost my voice anyway, and so that kind of, I quit all my jobs anyway. But then after that, I was just like, why would I lose my voice for that?
Yeah.
What's the
Exactly.
point, you know, like really? It's not like I was into any of it, it was just, you know, you get convinced that you have to monetize what you're doing. Like, at the time I hadn't really told my mother that what I was doing. So I had to try and make a really strong case, was the long and short of it. So, like, I was always doing this pretty much from age 21, I think we started, yeah, something like 2021. So I was always doing this, but it was just trying to pay bills. And every time I've done something else, it's been the practicality of music kicking in.
Yeah, it's hard.
And so you don't really get absorbed with it. It gets to a point where, you know, you don't enjoy it so much. But, you know, that's like, it's on you do it or you don't. And so then I decided it wasn't worth it, you know. But the thing that makes everything make sense is what you do, you know. It puts everything in context. And to a certain degree, you can abide doing other things if it funds what you want to do, you know. And like, I'm never more happy than when I'm doing something that feels as though I'm actually properly expressing myself. So, you know, it's a really odd balance, and people don't like to kind of feel a bit odd about the practicality of music. They like to think of you just landing in it and being fine.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always work like that. In fact, most of the time, if the band's any good, it doesn't work like that. And they have to kindly find a way of making money that doesn't necessarily mean dedicating yourself to an orchestra.
Yeah.
That's really what
It's telling me I have to interview students at a nightclub on a Monday night. I know the gritty realities of trying to make it in showbiz.
Oh, that's exactly.
What was something else? I wanted to ask about the name Phantom Limb. I'm intrigued by it. Where did it, what's it mean? Where's it come about? Why?
Oh, well, I suppose the best way of putting it is that when we made the band, it wasn't really a purposeful scenario. And the band started, and it kind of started of its own accord. The principal point of us getting together was a Christmas present to ourselves. We're all kind of working, you know, we talked previously about doing work for other people and things like that. It's very kind of tiring, quite draining work, and if you've got something to say, it won't say it for you. And so we want to kind of just do something for music's sake,
Yeah.
just for the sake of actually loving it. And so we did we booked out Rockfield Studios in Monmouthshire and recorded a few tunes kind of thing, made a massive roast, had an awesome time. And so that was kind of the point of it.
Yeah.
And then it kind of went, you can't ignore me. It kind of had a feel, it had like an intention. And so, you know, everyone kind of goes back into the trudge of everyday life. And there's something just over the shoulder at all times. And that's really what was happening. And that was the missing link. It's very there, but very not there. If you know anything about that, syndrome.
Well, from what I read from Wikipedia.
Yeah, it's that same thing as something very much being there, but you know, you can't see it.
At the same time.
Exactly.
Brilliant. I think that was. No, wait. I had one other thing. I
Hey?
want to know. Hold on. I want to know because I'm like
Jimmy Chop.
mildly Bristol obsessed, and I want to know how you feel. Does Bristol inspire you? Is it have a very strong? How do you feel about Bristol as a place?
It's like
Is it your soul?
conflicted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why conflicted?
Because if you grew up here,
Yeah.
born, raised, grew up, got a bit of a Bristol accent, you know you did, and you might have popped somewhere for a few years,
Yeah.
but you're essentially Bristol. Like, some people can live and die in their hometown, and that's cool. And I'm just not a map, but some people can't, and there's just different kinds of not wrong or right. I'm not one of those people that can live and die in their hometown.
Yeah.
And so I've got excessive love because of what it allows you to do as a musician, in that it's a very much hotbed.
Yeah.
And then obviously it's my hometown, therefore I've got to get tired of it, and I do. You know, that's pretty simple.
If you could live anywhere else, any other country, where would you? Any other city?
Oh goodness, well, you know, where we did the album, we did that was in Sydenham Hill,
Yeah.
surrounded by Long Beach, and so definitely we've got a lot of friends over at Long Beach. So, I'd be most likely to want to live somewhere near those friends over there. If not do a stint in New York, but probably wind up on the West Coast or something.
Maybe a house in both would be nice.
Oh, well, you
Just
know.
jump between, that'd be convenient. Well, thank you so much for talking to me. It's been absolutely brilliant, and I wish you the best of luck for tonight. And the album The Fight is out today, and you can purchase it in the store in Bristol. Thank you so much. That was really great.